down there. Gotta move this.
Ugh.
Just need to clear enough space.
Ugh.
Heavy. Almost got it. There, safe. For now. โ